everyone. Good morning, class. So I will be discussing to you the biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem. Okay, so we have here three objectives. First is to differentiate biotic from abiotic components. Next is to identify the ecological levels of organizations in the ecosystem. And lastly, to differentiate symbiotic and non-symbiotic relationship. Okay, so we have here first the ecosystem. The ecosystem is made up of living and non-living things, and this ecosystem contains many habitats. What is a habitat? Okay, habitat is basically a certain place wherein a certain species is living. So for example, fishes, the wildlife, animals in the ocean. So they live in the ocean. And that the others also, for example, the tigers, the lions, they live in the forest or the land. Okay? So we have here the biotic component. So biotic component is basically the living parts of an ecosystem, and biotic is formed with the combination of bio, which means life, and ic, which means life. So as we can see here, the pictures here are examples of living organisms like the butterflies, the plants, the animals, and the like. Okay? So we have here the components of biotic, the humans, the animals, the plants, bacteria, and the viruses. Okay? So we have here some examples, some features for us to know more of the biotic components, like the microorganisms, the bacteria, and fungi, and viruses. Okay. So next, we have there the abiotic components. The abiotic components is basically the non-living parts of an ecosystem. So what are the things that you can see there that includes the abiotic components? Okay, good. We have there the stones. We have there the water. Okay, and then we have here also the sun, the wind, and the water, and the like. So those are examples of abiotic components. Okay, so we have here others. We have there the climate, the humidity, precipitation, the wind, the altitude, the soil, light, water, oxygen, and the carbon dioxide. So these are examples of abiotic components. Okay, next, we have here some examples for us to know more, to learn more of abiotic components, and for us not to get confused the difference between the abiotic and biotic components. Okay, so we have here the difference. Okay, so here is for biotic, we have here the organic matter, living things, oysters, blue crabs, zooplankton, phytoplankton, jellyfish, while the abiotic includes the climate, non-living things, sunlight, temperature, nutrient, enrichment, humidity, and the soil. Okay, so there it goes. So these are some features for us to know the difference between the abiotic and the biotic components. Okay, so please return to the previous page. Okay, so the biotic components needs the abiotic components to survive. Why? Because the plant cannot grow if there is no soil, and soil is part of the abiotic components. So meanwhile, the abiotic components does not necessarily need the biotic components. They can survive alone, the abiotic. But for biotic, they cannot survive without the abiotic components. Okay? So do you have questions so far? Okay. So I'm going to give you things, and you're going to identify whether it's abiotic or biotic. Okay? So the chair, is it abiotic or biotic? Okay. How about the plants? Okay, good. So for your assignment, I want you to write 5 importance of abiotic components and 5 importance of biotic components. Okay? So that's it for the meantime. So thank you, class, and goodbye.